Very much, Sarah, and thank you, colleagues, for joining us once again in this learning experience. Many faces that are with us often throughout the weeks. I have seen you yesterday, but also many new faces that are triggered by this very important topic for us. Local economic development, as Sarah was saying, has been on our agenda for a very long time, but it's getting a very special meaning in this COVID era, and we think that it will be a concept that will need rethinking also for the aftermath of the pandemic. When we have been dealing with local economic development, we have been talking about proximity, about a small business, about the potential of seeking the potential of each of the territories as a system of cities and not in competition with other cities. And we have also been talking a lot about the necessity to ensure that the economic model would not be dependent from very monothematic issues. I mean, diversified economic models have always been very important in our discussions. I have to say that this community is growing. Many of our member cities and territories are applying these thoughts. But I think what this pandemic has done is to really put, again, this magnifying glass that we always talk about in the need to rethink the production and consumption system. And local economic development models will need to answer to that. We are going to have, and the background note of this session emphasizes this a lot, very, very challenging issue with unemployment, because one of the things that this pandemic has also made very evident is, first, that our economic model is very dependent on the informal sector. So our formal economy is very dependent on our informal sector, that we have very fragile work conditions for many parts of our citizenship, and that some are starting to think to quantify the poverty increase in our cities after this pandemic, very related to this very fragile status of job provision in the hundreds of millions of people. So all of these things are the things that that our membership is busy thinking about. We are right now at the state in the pandemic where we are just trying to help the most vulnerable, trying to organize a scaled up comeback to normality. But the biggest challenge, I think, will be rethinking many of the models. The good news is, however, that many cities around the world, and I would dare say many of them intermediary cities around the world, that did not have the competitive nature that the big economic system was asking, had already started to look for other alternatives. And I have the pleasure to see that some of those cities are with us and that they can share their examples. So I will stop here because we want to hear partners, the practitioners, and the cities sharing their realities and their life experiences with us. But please bear in mind that for the bigger, broader agenda, I think the concept of proximity and local economic development will be a very important building block of the aftermath of COVID. We all know our territories will never be the same, and it is an exciting opportunity to be in a place where we can actually shape that future. So many bad news, but also some light in the horizon, and I hope we can see both in this session. Thank you very much. I would say, Executive Director, the floor is yours for some reflections and introductory remarks.